RTL2 Assignment 3 Action Research Proposal Using Group Work to Improve Year 7 Students' Learning Outcomes.
The Australian curriculum requires development of students' collaborative skills with peers, ICT skills, development of critical thinking and inquiry-based learning. 21st century learning recognises that collaborative learning skills are increasingly vital to succeed, both personally and in the workforce. At our schools, we need to better understand how using group work improves student learning outcomes.
So research demonstrates that group work has a benefit for students, their engagement, social skills, enhanced understanding of content, including a range of perspectives, problem-solving skills, and also creative and critical thinking.
However, the research also indicates that effectiveness of group work can also be limited by off-task behaviour, student disengagement, insufficient interpersonal, social and emotional skills, a lack of accountability to the group, and power or control dynamics. For teachers, group work can pose challenges for time management, preparation, behaviour management, and supporting individual students.
Yeah, so given the range of issues we've identified, our literature review needs to identify the role of different components of group work in influencing successful or unsuccessful learning outcomes. I think we need to investigate group composition, selection of task type for collaborative learning, strategies for enhancing group work, and use of computer-supported collaborative learning, which is just basically ICT supports.
Teacher guidance and scaffolding. Teacher feedback and scaffolding is integral to student success when students are required to solve a problem or complete a task. In a study conducted by Schwartz and Shea, it was found that the online argumentation program Degalo yielded more reasoned and evidence-based responses of junior secondary students when explicit scaffolding and structured communication was used. Additionally, Furberg argues that the strength of scaffolding and inbuilt prompts while using computer-supported collaborative learning is limited without the support and guidance from the teacher. The role of the teacher is to engage students and develop their use of higher order thinking skills. Despite the potential of CSCL, scaffolding and teacher guidance to improve student performance, Gomez et al. Found that a lack of a whole school approach paired with insufficient school resources could negatively impact student performance. This is consistent with the findings of Yang's 2009 study, whereby a technical malfunction due to poor quality resources resulted in a loss of audio recorded interviews affecting students' overall performance. In this regard, a whole school approach paired with teacher guidance, scaffolding, and quality resources is fundamental to student success.
The literature revealed that students prefer some form of structure while working in groups. Gillies found that students were more engaged and worked more efficiently in structured groups compared with unstructured groups. Similarly, Strybos and colleagues revealed through self-reports, Likert scale questioning and open-ended questioning that assigning roles to students had a more positive effect on student performance compared to students in non-role groups. Moreover, Hilton and Phillips argue that teachers need to assign students into a specific group type depending on the desired learning objective. It was found across the studies of Hilton and Phillips and McClelland that student performance is enhanced when students have to leave their comfort zone. In both studies, student performance increased when students were confronted with social and communication issues. In this regard, it should be the responsibility of the teacher to group students into mixed groups. Additionally, a study conducted by Coe and colleagues found that having teachers select groups will help discourage clique formations and the exclusion of students such as students with low ability. However, an inconsistency in the literature was found in Baker et al. Their study of 24 French students aged 16 to 18, whereby students ended up deleting their peers' work due to a lack of trust. This study is a caveat to educators to use their experience and research skills to ascertain which group type works best.
The literature review also reviewed that student performance was enhanced when students were required to solve a problem or conduct group investigations. One teaching method that can be utilized in classrooms is project-based learning, in which students work in groups using research skills and critical thinking to solve a complex situation, problem, or challenge. However, many researchers are critical of utilizing project-based learning in their classrooms due to its lack of direction and structure. Using the findings from the literature reviews, our group believes that project-based learning paired with teacher instruction and scaffolding can successfully be used to improve student performance. It was these findings that helped inform our current action research project. Moreover, Khan and Wakala found that project-based learning could also help students develop social capabilities during group work. However, Mahag, Kay, and Coombs have found that the majority of research has focused on adults and has not been examined within a K-12 context, despite already being implemented within schools. Our group aims to assess the impact of project-based learning within a high school context.
Data collection findings. Methods of data collection included interviews, artifacts, and observations. 4 key themes were found. Explicit instruction is needed. Instructions need to be explicit and can be viewed as providing a number of scaffolds. The more in-depth instruction students have, the better they will be equipped to complete the task. It needs to be given quickly. Archer and Hughes 2010 suggests that students are engaged less than half the time allocated for instructions. Interviews conducted show that unless instructions were made clear, students were left confused and unsure what to do, leading to them not completing the task. Group work improves student ability. Communication. Observations concluded that in a think, pair, share activity, each student had an equal say. This was also seen in regards to problem-based learning pros. Critical thinking. Interviews stated that students were required to answer their own questions, leading to an increase in their critical thinking skills. However, academic outcomes vary. Some students do well, while others don't, regardless if they are engaged or not. Prior knowledge is needed. This is especially true when it comes to technology. This affects both the teacher and the student. Students need the interpersonal skills in order to be able to complete the tasks. Some students with poor interpersonal skills struggle to work with others and communicate effectively. Support is still needed. Motivation. Students need to have the motivation to complete the task. Lack of motivation could be due to not understanding the task or not seeing a reward or relevance in it. Distractions. There are numerous distractions that can occur, especially when using ICT, including looking at memes and other non-relevant websites, as found in the interviews conducted. Scaffolded activities. Scaffolding activities can help students reach the end goal. In the lesson plans collected, a number of warm-up games were used that required the same skills as the main game. This allowed for students to develop these skills over the entire lesson.
So our proposed action research project will be conducted in low SES, mixed ability public comprehensive secondary school in Western Sydney with Year 7 students. 4 Year 7 classes will be involved in the project.
So based on our literature review and preliminary data findings, students will be allocated by teachers into mixed ability groups of 4 to conduct project-based learning on the topic of strategies to enhance livability in the local community. In line with the Stage 4 Geography, Place and Livability, Syllabus Content and Outcomes, each group will research one strategy for enhancing livability in the local community and create a 2-minute persuasive video presentation about their chosen strategy.
Excellent. So given the identified impact of limited skills on learning outcomes, our students will have one pre-lesson with explicit instruction and practice in using the ICT tools, which are Google Docs and Native Video Recorder. They're both free and commonly used in New South Wales schools, so they're a logical choice. And core group work skills, including allocating tasks, open communication, constructive criticism, and decision making. Students will have 3 lessons to research and select their chosen strategy and create a script for the video. Research notes and the script will be created using Google Docs, allowing all group members shared access and teacher opportunities to monitor student progress. Students will then have 1 lesson to record their presentation.
It's important that students also be given specific criteria and teacher feedback to ensure students benefit from the intervention and that we can evaluate their work and make comparisons. However, our preference is for informal assessment. This removes pressure and avoids potential conflict about formal grades commonly associated with student group work concerns.
Our central question is, does project-based learning in groups using ICT improve the learning outcomes of Year 7 students? Our sub-questions are A. What is the impact on students' social skills development? B. What is the impact on students' engagement? And C. What is the impact on students' critical thinking skills?
Aligned with the research questions and best practice, we need to collect several types of data to ensure triangulation of our findings. Following Bornfield and colleagues, we can use data collected as part of the normal school routine, as well as data collected for the purpose of our inquiry. So what will our data collection protocol include?
Given we are measuring student engagement and skills development, it's logical that we collect student pre and post surveys to measure the effectiveness of the intervention. Specifically, attitudes about group work and self-evaluation of group work skills, attitudes towards ICT, use and self-evaluation of skills in using Google Docs and native video recorder. Likert scales will allow comparison between student responses, is likely to be less confronting or confusing for students to complete, and can be analysed more quickly to provide a snapshot of improvement, regression or limited change over the course of the intervention, as well as between classes.
Great, and student attendance records will allow us to check whether students were present or not to help inform our analysis of student progress over time, and potentially might provide a proxy measure of engagement if we notice students are consistently showing up late between classes.
So during the intervention, the classroom teacher needs to be free to provide students with assistance and guidance, particularly given the literature and preliminary data findings. If we have one of the other Year 7 geography teachers doing observations, this will ensure familiarity with the project, limit ethical concerns around student safety, and should limit student disruption, compared with using video recording or an external researcher. We will need to use a consistent observation protocol, and this should measure on and off-task behaviour, as well as positive and negative interactions between group members in 5-minute intervals to ascertain engagement and effectiveness of collaborative skills. This can be analysed quantitatively by tallying the number of on and off-task behaviour and types of interactions and comparing these across the lessons and between classes to identify patterns and trends.
Given the important role of classroom teachers in providing assistance, we should also get each classroom teacher to record a journal entry after each lesson. To provide focus and consistency, we can use the same prompt: what impact was observed in students' social and skills development, critical thinking, and engagement. We can use grounded thematic coding of the journal entries by all staff collectively and relevant to specific classes to identify areas of strength and weaknesses.
Absolutely, and we can also retain each group's Google document containing their research notes and script, as well as their video presentation for artifact analysis. We can compare their work against the set criteria.
Students shall be given a form to notify them and their parents that their class has been chosen to carry out an action research project aligned with the curriculum and not affecting other subjects. The form will provide information about the aims and structure of the project, including types of data being collected. Parents can then provide informed consent. If they do not, alternative tasks will be available. Due to cultural taboos about being recorded, Indigenous students can have the alternative of doing voiceover.
Some of the ethical concerns with this action research project involve the use of specific ICT platforms such as Google Drive. Everything that is posted within that drive will be monitored by the teacher or facilitator. This allows for a safer environment and to ensure nothing inappropriate is posted.
Excellent, and parents will also be able to monitor the Google Drive documents to supervise their children. Of course, out-of-class communication will be done on Google Drive to ensure transparency.
The Year 7 teacher conducting classroom observations has already had a background check and is an employee of the school.
Excellent, and students' identities will be kept anonymous to protect their privacy. Students will benefit from the research because data will be used to inform improved teaching and learning activities within the school.
The Action Research Project will establish an evidence-based rationale for continued group work to support learning outcomes within geography.
True, and it's potentially translatable to other syllabus areas or even year levels.
Alternatively, it may identify areas of improvement or further research specifically relevant to ICT skills, student collaboration skills, teacher behavioural management, or levels of student engagement.
Given the Australian curriculum requirement that students participate in group work, use of ICT and inquiry-based learning, this project aims to identify strengths and limitations specific to the school context.